Well, hi everyone, Doothany Goodtano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Kemba record, Negus. New York rapper and lyricist extraordinaire Kemba, formerly known as YC the Cynic, an artist who I've been waiting to hear new music from since his very good GNK record, which dropped several years ago. He also released a handful of B-sides, I guess in a way to sort of purge himself of all of this old YC the Cynic music before he switched over to a new name. Something that at the time I didn't understand the point of. I mean, is all of this material, is it not that good, or is it so different from the direction that you're going to be moving in that you'll have no use for it under this new name? And now that I've had the opportunity to listen to this new record over here, it kind of confirms that, because Negus is far different from anything that YC or Kemba has put out in the past. Maybe not totally from a lyrical or a conceptual angle. Kemba on this album still reflects quite a bit on topics of race and politics, social status, and black culture. He's rapping about these things now more than ever since recent police shootings and racial divides in America have become hot-button topics on news media and social media. But this record is not really the angry, revolutionary response to these things that you might assume. Because on this record, Kemba's reaction to this stuff is actually pretty low-key, pretty measured. It's not an angry show of retaliation as much as it is a really sobering and somber portrayal of the current state of things from his point of view. And this tone could have much to do with some of the opening lyrics to the record on the song Caesar's Rise, where Kemba specifically says, "Do not call this lyrical. These are Negro spirituals," which I think says a lot about the mood of the record. There's a lot of pain and there's a lot of sorrow on this album. And some of it is conveyed through what I think are some of Kemba's or YC's best lyrics yet, like right here or right here. The song Greed actually has one of my favorite opening verses on the entire record and some of my favorite lines on the entire album too. How much is a life worth? Drop a penny off the Eiffel. He's talking about this one individual on a track who found the fountain of youth, but he just turned around and bought a Sprite though. One line that sort of blew me away is when he's talking about racism or racist remarks toward him, where someone might call him an ape, and then he goes, apex. Lyrically, I don't really have that many reservations about the record. I mean, maybe Kemba could have put some of his points a little more bluntly, or maybe organized his thoughts a little bit better, but boiling these very heavy and intricate issues down into songs is a really difficult task, and for the most part, I think he succeeded. There's one point toward the beginning of the album where he makes reference to like microaggressions that I thought was a little silly, but I still enjoy how thoughtful and topical a lot of these tracks are, like on the song Heartbeat, which is a direct reference to police shootings, or on the song Sirens, open parentheses, Curious, where the listener is kind of tempted with materialistic things. I think there's kind of a druggy angle to the track as well, or maybe just a note of jealousy towards someone that has more than you. Plus, on the second verse here, he sort of does this flow, ba 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 ba. That's, you know, like a little nasal, it's a little high-pitched, and it's kind of speedy. It reminds me of something from Kendrick Lamar's last full-length record, and this isn't the only time on this album where Kemba really wears his influences on his sleeve, because there is a hefty Kanye vibe throughout a lot of this record. Not only in the fact that some of the instrumentals really try to be spacey and dramatic and build up tension, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, but also with all of the distorted, fuzzy auto-tune interludes that glide us from one portion of the track to another. There's also a pretty prominent Black Skinhead sample on the song Caesar's Rise. If there's anything keeping me from loving this record, it's that the production can be kind of lifeless in my opinion. There are some instrumental highlights on this thing, like on the song The New Black Theory, which has a pretty big boom bap chorus that I like a lot, even though I think Kemba's vocals could have been a little more lively there. Greed has a great beat. I also love the very mysterious and tuneful Brown Skin Jesus that is the outro track of the album. It has a wonderful chorus that is a mix of like gospel and soul, not something I was aware Kemba could pull off so well. He also sings pretty well on the song Heartbreak toward the last third of the track, because the song really is kind of split up into thirds. You have this long-winded intro that sort of goes in about this police shooting, a great verse in the middle, and then the back end, the song actually becomes heartbreaking as he's singing this refrain about how he doesn't want to see his brothers die, he doesn't want to read his sister's will. But having said all that, there are plenty of instrumental moments here where I think the very slow pace of the production, I can see that Kemba and his producer on this thing are trying to build up tension, but that tension doesn't actually get released in any significant way on some of these very slow burning tracks. And then there are cuts that never really have that much oomph to them at any point in the instrumental, at least not enough to be exciting or really just kind of bring the emotional or the musical point home that Kemba is trying to make, and it leaves the song feeling kind of hollow and groggy, notably on songs like Hallelujah, Kings and Queens, the interlude cuts on here, and I would say the song Always as well. I mean, I think that song generally works pretty okay, but when sort of thrown into this track listing with all these other very subdued tracks, it's just another moment that feels just as middle of the road as many other cuts on here. You know, there's a lot of smart stuff on this record. I'm just afraid that it's going to fall on deaf ears because of just how musically, instrumentally underwhelming this record is. And I'm not looking for Kemba to hop on some kind of banger, generic trap instrumental or anything like that. It's just that the frustration this album is very clearly rooted in doesn't really manifest itself or translate all that well through the vocal delivery or the instrumentals on this thing. Nor does the album end up delivering the intimidation that the opening cut Caesar's Rise kind of promises with the lyrics. Sonically, I would say this album unfortunately is not as bold as I would have liked it to be, and for some odd reason, I think after switching to this new name, Kemba has somehow become a little less distinct than he was on his previous record, because the Kendrick and the Kanye influences are so very apparent on this thing. Overall though, I thought the concept on this record was cool. I liked the lyrics a lot. Some of the singing went over pretty well. Generally, the album is pleasant to listen to. It's smart, it's thoughtful, and the ongoing story of this teacher trying to get a young black child to betray his racial identity and his self-respect in order to teach him a lesson about loving himself was pretty interesting too. I'm feeling a strong 6 to a light 7 on this thing. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe, and please don't cry if you happen to hate my opinion on this album. Anthony Fantano, Kemba, forever.